This is HaShulchan Yodeh Siman Lametes Sif Tzadik Hey Tzadik Ches. This is Supplemental Day 283 of the HaShulchan Yomei series. Tzadik Hey Kosar Ben Ramah Sif Zayin. Ramah writes Yesh Mekilim. Some be lenient. Ima unos el yonas asmuchos begargeres. If the upper unos which are adjacent to the trachea, the vukos margargeres are literally clinging to the trachea. Clouds, no distinction between them at all. You can put a finger between them. Also, if the unos or the umos were clinging completely from beginning to end, to the fat which comes down between the umos, so too if the entire lung was clinging to the spine. They say that's the way they normally grow. It's not an adhesion. You shouldn't allow any of this without asking a rabbi and an expert in these matters. Can't derive from this to other cases where there's an adhesion of the lung. In other places, there's no difference whether it's all of it or not. Tzagvav, in name Lashon HaKasaf, in language you wrote, Ha'unos al Yonas Muchos Begargeres, the upper unos which are adjacent to the trachea. Mevur, it's clear that Shnei Unos Kai is going to the two unos. Ayaminos, Valsmalis, both on the right and the left. Hagam the Smalis Eno Kokach Smulageres, even though the left one is not so adjacent to the trachea. Komakom Nevelas came in Shushan beside Smalis, it's the first one left. Having Makon Abisa, it's the place where it grows adjacent to the trachea. It's in right that has to cling from top to bottom, from a deeper Shuman like clinging where like Rowan clings to the fat. It sounds you don't need from beginning to end. As long as there isn't a gap of a finger, in place it's clean kosher. It says look at the Simcha Chadasha. Yesh v'stapkin, those who are not sure, in the width of the clinging. You need the entire width of the una or afilu ksasa rochav, even part of the width of the una dabuk is clinging with support and some is separate. Near bein kol rochav, says it requires the entire width. Yesh shinkas asasim shnei stadim. Those who say it's kosher when it's closed up on both sides. Even in the middle, it's not. Came in Shabbat stadim like a pilush. It's on the side. There's no gap. That's the shach, and he says look at Simcha Chadasha. Sadik Zayin. With fukas shuman when it's clinging to the fat, hayar bein umos, which comes down between the umos. That's why they didn't mention anything about sticking in a finger. With this filler, it's clear that he holds afilu mashu yesh pilush the treif. Even there's a small gap, it's treif. Mordechai before the gam bezetzor gets the dafka. Mordechai says clear that it's, no. Also here the shears and that spot. But he determined even less than this is forbidden. Time of Neshesh Merkad should serve me Cain, B'din Zed, because even though Mordechai said that we acquired that's I guess according to some opinions, according to other opinions, no. The whole that in this thing in this halach it's dafka shein shum pilush. There's no gap whatsoever. I guess it's not the Mordechai says. Mordechai must say it's etzba, right? And the Ramah is saying that even less than etzba. But the first halach there's nobody argues. It's too short. So that is the halacha here. In this case, local yishayishman with the gam kambi. That's not like those who say that by the fat it's also an spot. No, it's only by the by the trachea it's up to that spot. And it says look at Picharish. This halacha of the entire lung clinging to the spine. So this should be on a seat like down, and we ready to talk about this yesterday. And Barry says, but Shnei Unos, Sheshnei Unos, Vukos Ogeres, Achasin doesn't make a difference. Both Unos are clinging to the trachea, or one of them, Unos Umos, Havukos Shuman, so too with Unos and Umos, which are clinging to the fat. Ankle, but San Echel Shteit Soim doesn't make a difference, one side, two sides. Tzadik Ches. Maisa b'sircha tluya is a maisa with a dangling sircha. Shiyatza b'shipuli umo, which came down at the edge of the uma. It was sof hasircha, the end of sircha had totally bucking kaftor. There was something like a button at the end. Nearest Kamla Mugla looked like it was full of pus. The Yeshu Watzlachshir, those who said once that it's kosher, is that rocky spashus lechos only like expansion of moisture. The Yeshu Trifu, those who said it's treif, there's a bua b'shipule. It's a bua at the end. It's like a bua at the end of the lung. When you try to bua b'shipule, can say this bubble was at the end of the lung, and he's gonna got severed. The determination of the great achronim ain't the bua b'shipule. It's not a bubble at the end of the lung. Elamuglabam is just a pus pimple. The question is whether it is a hollow sircha. And the lung is punctured. If it's a thin sircha, It's kosher to do the inflation test. To see if it doesn't come up by being inflated. Shero. It comes up when it's inflated. It's treif. If you didn't check it, ain't latir. Can't be permitted. If it's a thick sircha, it's treif. Bedika doesn't work. The siman who, it's a sign if it's thick. The chollah sircha nismalu mugla, that the entire sircha is full of pus. Benikvei ran nistamim. What about the fact that no air gets into it? Doesn't matter. It means that the holes from the lung are stopped up by the pus. It's not going to go up in inflation, even though there is a hole there. It's Pri Megadim, Pri Chadash, and the Simla Chadasha. And I think for today, that is it. A short day, relatively speaking. Yeah, Tzarech Ches. That's it.